This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Zhao Wenjian asked, to improve skills? This is going to be difficult. The people below also started to discuss. Suddenly, a member of the sea tribe flew up to the stage and said, "Can I take a look at the carbon piece?" The marine race expert had 3 horns on his head, and his skin was dark red. His movements revealed a powerful aura. Zhao Wenjian opened the storage pouch. The sea tribe member's face flashed with ecstasy as he looked at it, but he immediately regained his calm. He looked at the trader and said, "I have a cleansing fungus here, what does this friend think?" "How many are there?" The person who presented the treasure was delighted. "How much?" The marine race expert sneered. "I'm sure everyone knows the efficacy of the cleansing poria. Even a mid-stage martial emperor powerhouse will have an effect after consuming it. One of them is more than enough to exchange for yours." The person who presented the treasure quickly shook his head and said, "No, 1 is too little. I need at least 3. 3? Is there something wrong with your brain? 3 cleansing poria mushrooms, even a high-level martial supreme can use them." The marine race expert said angrily. It must be known that items that could increase one's cultivation power were highly sought after by everyone, and they were considered one of the most popular items. This piece of single crystal carbon stone is indeed rare, but it's not that useful. "I know, but I'll only agree to it if I have 3 cleansing poria mushrooms," the person who presented the treasure said. The marine race expert was furious. He gritted his teeth and said, "2." The person who presented the treasure still shook his head. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out, "Take a look and see if my pills are useful." A beam of light landed on the stage. It was Yunxiao. He handed over a jade-like bottle, then asked to have a look at the 100 tons of single crystal carbon. The person who presented the treasure suspiciously said, "Medicinal pill?" There were very few elixirs in the sea race. Although he had heard of it, he had never seen it before. He took the small bottle over with doubt. The bottle cap was pulled out with a bang, and an extremely comfortable smell came out. His whole body could not help but shiver. The person who presented the treasure was overjoyed and hurriedly poured out a light blue pill. It rolled in the palm of his hand and emitted a soft light. "This pill is so good." The person who presented the treasure was extremely excited. He could already sense that this pill was of great use to him. Just by smelling it, he felt the bottleneck in his body loosen. Zhao Wenjian laughed. "Young Master Yunxiao, you've really put in a lot of effort for the dazzling treasure meat. This is a 9th grade secret pill. It's specially used to improve one's skills. 2 secret pills of this quality are enough to match a cleansing lonling." "I have indeed refined some," Yunxiao said with a smile. "I was going to auction them." When the person who presented the treasure heard Zhao Wenjian's words, he knew that it was true. He hurriedly said, "How many more of these pills do you have? How much do you need?" Yunxiao laughed. "Mr. Wenjian said that 2 of these pills are equivalent to 1 cleansing poria, so you can just give me 6 of them," the person who presented the treasure said. "All right," Yunxiao said without hesitation. He immediately took out 6 small bottles and was about to hand them over. He had only made a total of 10 of these secret pills. He had originally wanted to participate in the auction of the dazzling treasure meat, but the single crystal carbon stone was of great use to him, so he had to change his mind. "Hold on." The sea tribe man with the triangular head gave Yunxiao an angry glare, then took out 3 stalks of cleansing poria and said, "I'm taking this piece of single crystal carbon stone." He directly stuffed the cleansing poria into the other party's hand and went to retrieve the storage bag. Yunxiao flicked his finger, and a beam of light shot out and stopped the man. "What are you doing?" The man flew into a rage and glared at Yunxiao. "Did the owner say he wanted to sell you?" Yunxiao sneered. "I'll offer 8 secret pills." The man's face flickered, and his eyes flickered with killing intent. He pointed at Yunxiao and snapped, "Brat, this thing is extremely important to me. Do you really want to snatch it from me? I'm sorry, Yunxiao said indifferently. I want one too. The one with the highest price will get it, it depends on the seller's intention. The seller was overjoyed and hurriedly said, of course I'll sell it to this human friend. Yunxiao smiled and immediately took out 8 bottles of pills and handed them to him, then took the storage bag. The eyes of the oceanic species expert with the triangle on his head flickered with anger as he threatened, you've got guts. Yunxiao ignored him and returned to his seat. The 3-horned expert of the Sea Clan also returned resentfully and walked into the crowd of Sea Clan members. Many of them were from the 3-horned Sea Clan, and they all stared at Yunxiao with cold eyes as they gathered together to discuss something. The feast continued, and all kinds of treasures were presented one after another. Even Ruinxiang exchanged for a few, and Yunxiao exchanged all the remaining resources. Throughout the entire event, Shui Xian was the only one who did not move. She did not know what she wanted, but the point was that she could have anything she wanted, so she just watched the show. Zhao Wenjuan said, let's end the sharing of wondrous items here. Everyone, rest for 4 hours. You can carry out some transactions on your own. We're going to prepare for the last few treasures to be auctioned off, so please leave for now. The dazzling treasure hall was filled with a few clamors as everyone began to leave. Many people's eyes were looking around, sweeping over the other cultivators, as if they were looking for a target. As soon as everyone left the hall, they immediately turned into a beam of light and left, especially those who had revealed their treasures. They were afraid of causing trouble and stayed far away. The one who was the most worried was Baiming Lifeng. Dozens of dangerous auras had locked onto him. As soon as they left the dazzling treasure hall, he followed closely behind Baiming Kongtian. The two of them turned into beams of light and left. As soon as Yunxiao walked out of the venue, he also found dozens of beams of light gathering on him. But, as he stood next to Shui Xian, no one dared to approach him, and they all stared at him from a distance. Li Yunxiao, Run Xiang sneered, don't try to intimidate others with your power if you have the guts. Get out of here by yourself and see if you can come back alive later. Princess Shui Xian, Yunxiao said. I'll leave for a while. Be careful, said Shui Xian. Yunxiao smiled indifferently, then turned into a beam of light and left. Liao Yangbing and Jing Yongyao looked at each other and followed. They were now completely tied to Yunxiao's chariot. As expected, dozens of lights burst out in the surroundings and chased after him. Yunxiao's identity as a 9th-tier alchemist and the many treasures he had revealed had long been remembered by many people. Don't run. You won't be able to escape even if you go to the sky or the sea. After flying for hundreds of miles, the oceanic species experts caught up to them in the sky above a continuous mountain range. Yunxiao stopped and stood there indifferently, a mocking smile on his lips. His thoughts were simple. Since these people wanted to get their hands on him, he didn't mind solving them all at once to avoid any trouble in the future. There are at least 30 of them, Liao Yangbing said in a deep voice. They're really a bunch of reckless people. With the 3 of us working together, they won't be able to return. Jing Yongya snorted. In a few breaths, more than 30 beams of light caught up and surrounded the 3 of them. There were also a few extremely strong auras in the void. Ladies and gentlemen, Yunxiao sneered, we don't know each other, do we? A complete stranger? The Sea Clan member with 3 horns on his head looked around and knew what the others were thinking. He sneered, I know you have some ability, but it's not worth mentioning in front of us. But we brothers aren't the type to kick you while you're down, as long as you hand over the carbon, we'll leave. There were a total of 5 people with 3 horns on their heads. Their entire bodies were brown, and they were obviously of the same race. The 5 of them emitted extremely strong origin energy fluctuations. None of them were ordinary martial emperor powerhouses. Each of them revealed a ferocious look. You do have some conscience, Yunxiao said. I'll just cripple one hand each of you. As for the rest? What grudges do I have with you? The 5 of them were furious, and the leader said coldly, are all humans so stubborn? So this is the so-called human race. He's so arrogant. A dark green marine race expert sneered, it's very simple. We'll take out all your treasures and break your dantian. Then, we'll leave. Yunxiao's eyes flickered with a cold gleam as he said, "Not bad, you broke my dantian, I'll remember that." Another member of the sea tribe with a trumpet-like mouth frowned and said, "This person's life belongs to me, but the treasures can all belong to you." The dark green marine race expert sneered. "Don't tell me you want to imprison him so that he can forge weapons for you?" "What? Is there something wrong with that?" The trumpet-mouthed marine race expert snorted coldly. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. This was indeed a brilliant idea. The other party was a 9th-tier great alchemist, a rare commodity that they would never encounter in the entire ocean. The moment this thought appeared, it was difficult to suppress it from spreading in everyone's hearts. "Young Master Yun, do it," Liao Yangbing sneered. "Don't miss the auction for the final item." 4 hours. Yunxiao laughed. "Do you really need 4 hours to kill these ants?" "Humph. He's really confident." The sea tribe member with the 3 horns snorted coldly. "Let's kill the 2 warriors first, then capture this 9th-tier alchemist. The 5 of us will take the carbon piece and leave. You guys can split the rest." "That's right. I'm sure the 2 martial emperor powerhouses must have many treasures in their hands," one of the oceanic species experts said in a deep voice as greed flickered in his eyes. "If that's the case, then do it." One of the Sea clan's chieftains gave a loud cry and immediately reached out to grab Yunxiao. These members of the Sea race had a barbaric nature, and their blood would be ignited in an instant when they fought. They all revealed ferocious expressions. "Humph." Jing Yongya snorted coldly as he took a step forward and stood in front of Yunxiao. Then, he turned his palm into a sword and slashed it at the Sea tribe cultivator. Bang. The 2 of them exchanged a palm strike in the air. Jing Yongye had the upper hand, and the Sea tribe cultivator was forced to retreat. "Let's attack together," the marine race expert shouted in anger. These 2 human experts are not simple. Killing intent flashed across the faces of the rest of the people as they rushed forward. More than 30 people attacked at the same time with earth-shaking power, and all kinds of unique skills came from the sky, causing Yunxiao and the other 2's faces to pale. "Spread out," Liao Yongbing shouted. "Draw away some of young Master Yun's opponents." He made a prompt decision and immediately turned into a ray of light and fled 1,000 meters away. "You want to escape?" Sure enough, a few oceanic species experts' expressions turned cold as they chased after him. Jing Yongya immediately understood Liao Yangbing's thoughts, and he also fled 1,000 meters away, drawing away many enemies for Yunxiao. Yunxiao, on the other hand, was in a daze. The countless attacks went straight through his body, but they could not hurt him at all. The members of the Sea tribe were all stunned and dumbfounded. The marine with the trumpet-like mouth said in a deep voice, "This kid is a great alchemist. He can twist space with his spiritual power and shift his position. Let's do it together." The people of the Sea tribe had never fought with alchemists before, so they had no idea what was going on. Hearing this, they roared and rushed forward. The 5 members of the Sea clan with 3 horns on their heads were at the forefront. Together, they cast a set of joint attacks and sealed the space around Yunxiao, making it impossible for him to escape. Furthermore, the attacks came from 5 different directions, causing the space to warp. Yunxiao suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise. With their joint efforts, the flat space was twisted, and the 5 of them were hidden deep in the spatial rift, hiding their traces. The moon-like pupils in his eyes flashed, and he instantly saw the positions of the 5 people clearly. The 5 attacks also twisted and turned in the distorted space. They actually did not walk in a straight line, but instead moved casually, and suddenly blasted out in front of him. Interesting. Yunxiao was quite interested. He pointed up in the air, and the Great Sorrow Twilight Cloud Mirror appeared out of thin air, emitting a soft light as it hovered in the air. The mirror kept spinning, growing larger, and then slowly descended. At the same time, it emitted beams of bright light that shot into the twisted space. The mirror grew to the height of a man and landed in front of Yunxiao. As the 5 attacks came at him, Yunxiao's expression remained unchanged. Instead, he took a step forward and walked into the mirror, then disappeared. Bang! When the fist force hit the mirror, half of it was reflected back, while the other half went through the mirror light and was refracted to another direction. Bang! 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 The 5 fist winds were separated by the mirror surface, constantly colliding with each other. There were even a few that were directly reflected back to attack them. What? The 5 of them were shocked and hurriedly attacked again. They twisted the space and the 5 figures flashed and continued to hide in the crack. At that moment, a light flashed in the mirror, and Yunxiao walked out from the other side with an indifferent look. He didn't do anything during the entire process. He just walked into the mirror and came out. You indeed have a rare treasure. One of them was surprised and happy, and shouted, "Brothers, show yourself and fight him." The surrounding space changed again. The 5 of them circulated their essence force to the extreme and attacked from a few tricky and strange positions. Yunxiao smiled indifferently as he kept making hand seals in the air. In an instant, as if he was holding jade in his palm, tens of thousands of strong beams of light bloomed out. There was a loud bang in the sky, and strange phenomena appeared everywhere. 4 rays of light of different colors gathered from the 4 poles, forming a line in the air and falling down, directly gathering in his palm. A 4-pole seal formed in the air. It glowed with a strange light as if there were several rules gathered inside. Hundreds and thousands of strange symbols floated inside. This move. Not good. The 5 of them immediately realized the danger and instantly made a strange pose, which looked strange and incomprehensible. However, as the 5 of them combined their postures, an illusory shadow of a fist appeared. Let's go all out. The leader gave a loud cry, and his fist shadow instantly turned solid as it smashed toward the 4-pole seal in front of Yunxiao. Boundless heaven and earth, 6 paths reincarnation. Heaven and earth seal. Yunxiao cried out as his figure swayed under the huge golden light. He formed a seal with both hands, and the heaven and earth seal suddenly slammed down. Bang! The golden seal and the fist shadow were both shattered upon contact, and the violent energy exploded, engulfing all 6 people. The members of the Sea clan outside were frightened. They retreated, their eyes brightened as they looked at the energy storm. The huge impact shook Yunxiao, causing speckles of golden light to splash up. He did not react at all, but took a step into the air and headed toward the 5 men. The 5 Sea clan experts were struggling in the storm. When they sensed Yunxiao's aura coming from the sky, they were taken aback and said in horror, "You coward." Bang! 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 Yunxiao leaped into the air and kicked 5 times in a row, hitting the hearts of the 5 men and shattering them. They coughed up a large mouthful of blood and were sent flying. Not good. Everyone, attack. The members of the Sea tribe outside immediately realized that something was wrong. The blunderbuss-like man roared loudly before opening his mouth wide and inhaling. A series of strange, pew-pew-pew sounds came out, making everyone's heart go numb. Meanwhile, an even stronger sound wave spread out along with the sound, covering an area of the sky and hitting Yunxiao. The other member of the Sea tribe opened his arms, and 2 bone spurs protruded out. He slashed in the air, and 2 rays of red light slashed down one after another. Yunxiao opened his right hand, and the dynasty bell flew out, instantly growing several feet tall. Clang! Clang! The 2 attacks were blocked. Then, he formed a seal with his hand and slapped it on the bell. Clang! Clang! The sky trembled, and a powerful sound wave rushed out, directly breaking the sound wave that sealed the world. It drowned out the strange, pew-pew-pew sound and attacked the trumpet-mouthed Sea tribe. Bang! Ah! The Sea tribe member let out a blood-curdling scream. His long trumpet-like mouth was pressed down like a spring by the dynasty bell, but it could not be restored. Yunxiao teleported directly in front of him and said coldly, "You're good at screaming, aren't you?" He directly raised his hammer and smashed it into the other party's mouth. The hammer brought out a long bolt of lightning that streaked across the sky with astonishing power. The Sea Tribe member was so scared that his face turned pale. He covered his mouth with his hands and retreated. But no matter how he retreated, Yunxiao was still 3 feet away from him. Boom! The heavenly hammer finally smashed down, and the lightning directly pierced through his hands, blasting into his mouth. The Sea Tribe member's body trembled a few times from the electric shock. His entire head, except for the white of his eyes, was charred black, and thick smoke was rising. That long mouth had also turned into a big hole. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive, but he fell directly from the sky. The remaining 10 or so people were all shocked, and they attacked one after another. Yunxiao's eyes were dead when he glanced at the dark green Sea Tribe member. He was so scared that he shivered, knowing that he would not be able to escape if he did not use all his strength. Everyone, don't panic. He can't do it alone, so there's no way we can't win if we join forces. After encouraging everyone, the dark green Sea Tribe member was the first to rush up. A tortoise shell appeared on his arm, and he smashed it down like a millstone. Hit someone? Yunxiao sneered. You want to hit someone? He stretched out his hand, and the Divine Realm tablet turned into the size of a brick. He held it in his hand and walked forward in the air, smashing it at the turtle shell. The dark green marine race expert was overjoyed. He couldn't help but laugh wildly. Using one's weakness to attack another's strength, how foolish. Even a high-level martial supreme would find it difficult to shake my green-furred tortoiseshell. Die, human. He suddenly increased the strength in his hand, pouring all of his origin power into the armor in order to kill with a single strike. Bang! A deafening sound was heard. The Divine Realm tablet hit the tortoiseshell directly, and a huge energy impact was shaken off the two of them. Yunxiao's body glowed with golden light, but he was safe and sound. Ka la. The oceanic species expert, whose body was dark green in color, opened his mouth wide. He had lost all feeling in his arm, and he could only hear the sound of the shell cracking. He looked down in horror. It wasn't just the entire tortoiseshell, even his arms started to break apart, starting from his palm and going up one by one, directly extending to his neck. Ah! He finally let out a blood-curdling screech and turned around to escape in fear. Don't go. Yunxiao sneered. Didn't you want to shatter my dantian? His smile turned cold, and a trace of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He condensed a golden light in the air and pointed it down. Bang! The sword energy directly pierced through the dark green body of the Sea Tribe member. The power of the sword didn't decrease. After killing the marine race expert, the sword Qi transformed into many northern heaven cold star swords in the air and rushed toward the remaining marine race experts. Arg! Quickly run! The morale of the marine race members instantly fell to the bottom, and they fled without a care. However, more than 10 swords lined up in a formation, like a prison falling from the sky, directly trapping everyone inside. Then, a sword talisman formed in the air and slowly descended, crushing everyone. Yunxiao looked around and saw that these sea people would not be able to escape for a while. He then looked into the distance. Liao Yongbing was still fine. He focused on tangling and rarely faced the sea race head-on. As for Jing Yongya, he was clashing head-on with the sea race, and was already riddled with injuries. He was on the verge of collapsing. A cold glint flashed across his face as he teleported into Jing Yongya's battlefield. The ice sword in his hand slashed out, directly cutting an oceanic species expert in half. Then, he changed the direction of his sword and slashed at another person. The man was taken aback. He did not understand why Yunxiao had the time to come here, but he did not have the time to look back and find out the reason. He hurriedly raised an 8th-tier saber and blocked the attack. Bang! The saber was broken, and the sword Qi continued to pursue him, cutting him in half and spraying blood in the air. Ah! The rest of the members of the Sea Tribe were completely dumbfounded. The man in front of them was only a 3-star martial sovereign, which was similar to their cultivation level. Some of them were even stronger than him. Why was he cutting them like they were cutting radishes? The few of them rubbed their eyes, thinking that it was an illusion. While they were hesitating, Yunxiao's sword momentum turned back and pierced a hole in the dantian of another sea tribe member. The remaining people all sucked in a breath of cold air, knowing that it was definitely not an illusion. Each and every one of them felt a chill run down their spines, and they turned to escape. Song of the Azure Lotus Sword 100 Flowers Bloom. Yunxiao's eyes were cold as he raised his cold sword and swung it horizontally.